Amina Cole, 34 years old, stepped off the public bus in the twilight of a late autumn evening in Brooklyn. She had just finished a long day of work at a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting communities of color. With her neatly braided black hair and sharp brown eyes, Amina always exuded strength and compassion. She lived alone in a small apartment on the third floor of a familiar housing complex where she had resided for the past 10 years. This place was not only her home but also held cherished memories of her mother who had taught her to stand up against injustice. That day, Amina felt more exhausted than usual. A land dispute between a black family and local authorities had kept her tense all day as she worked tirelessly to find solutions. Still, she reminded herself that everything would be fine once she returned home, a place where she could finally relax and unwind. But as soon as she walked through the gate of the housing complex, Amina noticed something unusual. A police patrol car was parked right in front of the building, its blue and red lights flashing faintly in the dark. She had never seen police here in the evening unless there was a serious issue. Before she could think further, a cold voice called out from behind her. "Excuse me, ma'am. This is a high-security area. I need to verify your identity." Amina turned around and saw a young police officer, tall with short blonde hair. It was Derek Hale. His eyes fixed on her, filled with obvious suspicion. "I live here," Amina replied, trying to keep her tone calm. "This is my apartment." Derek didn't seem satisfied. "I'm sorry, but I need proof. Do you have ownership papers for this place?" Amina was stunned. Neither she nor any of her neighbors had ever been asked for such documents before. The housing complex was predominantly home to people of color, and she knew Derek's actions were based on racial bias. "I don't have them with me," she said, struggling to contain her anger. "But if you want, I can call the building manager down to confirm." Derek shook his head, his tone dripping with contempt. "No need. Just leave the area right now." Amina felt her blood rush to her temples. She knew Derek wasn't genuinely concerned about security. He was harassing her because of the color of her skin. But she also understood that resisting at this moment would only make things worse. "This is a high-value area," Derek continued as if trying to justify his actions. "I'm just doing my duty to ensure the safety of residents." His words made Amina even angrier. She took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. "I've lived here for 10 years. Do you think I'm some kind of intruder?" Derek didn't respond, only shrugged and crossed his arms over his chest. Clearly, he had no intention of listening to her. The confrontation dragged on for a few more minutes, but eventually Amina was forced to leave. She left her shopping bag inside the lobby and stepped outside, her heart full of indignation. As she walked along the dimly lit street near the housing complex, Amina clenched her fists tightly. She remembered her mother's lessons. "My daughter, never bow your head to injustice. Stand up and fight." A determination began to form in her mind. Amina knew she couldn't let this pass easily. She would find a way to challenge Derek's wrongful behavior, not just for herself, but for all the other residents in the neighborhood. The next morning, Amina woke up with a heavy heart. She couldn't stop thinking about the confrontation with Derek the night before. The feeling of being insulted and powerless still lingered within her. Amina decided not to let the matter slide easily. She began investigating more information about Derek Hale and his behavior in the area. She went online, browsed through neighborhood groups on social media, and quickly realized she wasn't the only one being harassed. "I've also been stopped while walking my dog," a neighbor of color commented on a post. "He asked me for proof of ownership for my pet. I've lived here for 20 years, but last week he told me to verify my name on the lease agreement," another person shared. These similar stories made Amina even more certain that Derek wasn't targeting her alone. He was abusing his power to discriminate against residents of color in the area. While gathering information, Amina received a message from an unknown number. The sender introduced himself as Ethan Carter, an independent journalist who specialized in investigating social injustices in New York. "I saw your post on social media," Ethan wrote. "If you're willing, I can help you dig deeper into this issue." At first, Amina hesitated. She didn't know Ethan and wasn't sure if she could trust an outsider. But after a few minutes of thought, she decided to meet him to hear his ideas. Ethan was a white man around 37 years old with messy brown hair and passionate blue eyes. They agreed to meet at a small cafe near the housing complex. From the very first moments, Amina realized Ethan was genuinely serious about fighting for justice. I've been tracking cases of racial discrimination in law enforcement for years, Ethan explained. This issue needs to be brought to light. If you're ready, I'll support you in gathering evidence and getting this story out there. Amina nodded, feeling like she had just found a trustworthy ally. Right after meeting Ethan, Amina began reaching out to her neighbors. She organized a small meeting at her apartment, inviting all the residents of color, and even some white residents from the area. This isn't just my personal issue, Amina told everyone. Derek is using his power to harass us. If we don't do something, he'll keep doing this forever. Most of the residents agreed with Amina's point of view, but some expressed concern. We might get into trouble if we stand up to the police, an elderly woman said. I'm afraid they'll retaliate against us. Amina understood their fears, but she also knew silence would only make things worse. We can't let him continue like this, she affirmed. We'll gather evidence discreetly, record audio, take videos, and document every interaction with Derek. When we have enough proof, we'll go public. We're stronger when we unite. The residents eventually agreed to join the plan. They divided themselves into small groups, each responsible for monitoring and recording Derek's behavior in the area. At the same time, Amina began using social media to raise awareness about the issue. She created a new account called OurHomesOurRights and posted personal stories from residents under the hashtag #OurHomesOurRights. We can't stay silent in the face of injustice, Amina wrote in her first post. This is our home. These are our rights. Let's stand together and demand justice. The post quickly caught the attention of social media users. Hundreds of likes, shares, and comments poured in, turning Amina's campaign into a widespread movement. Some people of color from other areas also began sharing their own experiences with the police. I've been stopped just for walking at night, one person wrote. No reason. No explanation. They always think we're the bad guys, another commented. Just because of the color of our skin. Amina felt a surge of positive energy. She knew she wasn't alone in this fight. Together with Ethan and the community, she was gradually building a powerful wave of resistance against injustice. In the following days, Amina's #OurHomesOurRights campaign became a phenomenon on social media. Her posts not only caught the attention of Brooklyn residents but also spread across the United States. This isn't just our story, Amina wrote in a new post. It's the story of millions of people of color who face injustice every single day. We must all speak up together. Civil rights organizations and the Black Lives Matter movement began sharing her posts. Some prominent activists also expressed their support. #OurHomesOurRights is a powerful reminder that racial profiling still exists within law enforcement, one activist wrote. We need to act now to change this. Amina felt she was on the right path. Every like, share, and comment reinforced her belief in the power of community. She knew she wasn't alone in this fight. However, as Amina's campaign gained more attention, Derek Hale realized he was being watched. He began increasing pressure on the residents in the area. One morning, as Amina stepped out of her apartment, Derek appeared in the building lobby, blocking her way. I've heard about what you're doing, Derek said, his tone threatening. You should stop if you don't want trouble. Amina looked straight into his eyes, unflinching. You have no right to threaten me. I'm just protecting my rights and my community. Derek smirked. Do you really think you can stand against the system? Be careful, Ms. Cole. Nobody likes troublemakers. After that, Derek left, but his threats worried many residents. A few people began withdrawing from the plan to record and film him. We might be in danger, an elderly man said to Amina. He's a cop. He can do anything. Amina understood their fears, but she couldn't let them stop her. She decided to hold an emergency meeting to encourage everyone. That evening, about 20 residents gathered in Amina's apartment. The atmosphere in the small room was tense. I know we're all afraid, Amina began the meeting. But if we stay silent, Derek will keep doing this. We can't let that happen. Ethan, sitting beside her, added, We're stronger when we unite. If we gather enough evidence and make it public, the public will stand with us. Derek won't be able to fight the entire world. A young woman raised her hand to speak. I'm scared, but I also don't want my daughter to grow up in a society where she's always treated unfairly because of her skin color. I'll keep helping. Her words inspired others. Gradually, everyone agreed they wouldn't give up. They decided to increase their surveillance of Derek and find ways to gather more evidence. During their collaboration, the relationship between Amina and Ethan grew closer. They often talked after meetings or while reviewing video footage and audio recordings together. One evening, when they were alone in Amina's apartment, Ethan suddenly asked, "Have you ever thought about giving up?" Amina thought for a moment before replying, "Yes, but every time, I remember my mother. She always taught me that only love and persistence can change the world." Ethan looked at her with admiration. "You're amazing, Amina. I've never met anyone as strong as you." Amina smiled softly. "And you're the same, Ethan. You chose to stand with us even though you knew it could get you into trouble." They sat in silence for a moment, the atmosphere between them growing warmer than ever. It was the first time they realized their feelings for each other had deepened beyond mere collaboration. Although the relationship between Amina and Ethan was growing stronger, it wasn't without challenges for him. One evening, after a long day working with Amina and the community, Ethan returned home to find his parents waiting for him in the living room. "Can you explain what's going on?" Mr. Carter asked, his voice cold and stern. Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Mrs. Carter placed a newspaper on the table. On the front page was a photo of Amina and Ethan together at a small press conference. The headline read, "White journalist stands with black woman in fight against racial discrimination." "We taught you to be careful about what you do," Mr. Carter said, his tone full of reproach. "Do you think associating with a black woman will bring anything good to our family's reputation?" Ethan felt his blood boil, but he tried to stay calm. "Amina isn't just a black woman. She's a fighter for justice. I'm helping her expose the truth." "The truth?" Mrs. Carter interrupted, her eyes filled with disdain. "The so-called truth you're calling racial discrimination is just undisciplined residents causing disorder in society." Ethan knew his parents still held deep-seated racist beliefs. He had heard similar remarks from them for years, but now they made him angrier than ever. "I won't abandon Amina or this community," Ethan declared firmly. "If you can't accept that, then that's your problem." Mr. Carter stood up, his face red with anger. "All right, Ethan. Choose this family or that girl." Meanwhile, Amina was also facing personal challenges. After a long day gathering evidence and handling issues within the community, she felt physically and emotionally drained. She sat alone in her apartment, staring at an old photo of her mother on the table. Grace Cole, her mother, had been a strong and passionate woman who spent her life fighting for the rights of communities of color. "Mom, I don't know if I have the strength to keep going," Amina whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. But then she remembered her mother's lessons. "My daughter, never bow your head to injustice," Grace often said. "Stand up for yourself and for those who don't have a voice." These teachings helped Amina regain her mental strength. She understood this journey wouldn't be easy, but she couldn't give up. "I'll keep fighting, Mom," she told herself. "For you, for the community, and for everyone being treated unfairly." While Amina and Ethan faced personal pressures, the Brooklyn community grew closer than ever. A large meeting was organized at the local church where hundreds of residents, both black and white, gathered to discuss their next steps. "We can't let Derek keep harassing us," Amina addressed the crowd. "But to stop him, we need to unite, regardless of skin color, religion, or social class." A white man stood up to speak. "I never thought I'd join a fight like this, but I've seen what Derek does to my neighbors. It's wrong and I won't stay silent." His words were met with enthusiastic applause. People began sharing ideas and specific action plans. A volunteer group was formed to monitor Derek 24/7, recording every instance of his misconduct. Some white residents volunteered to testify publicly if necessary. The hashtag OurHomesOurRights campaign continued to spread rapidly on social media, drawing international attention. Ethan, despite pressure from his family, remained actively supportive of the community. He wrote a series of articles exposing Derek's behavior while calling for public support. This isn't just Brooklyn's story, Ethan emphasized in one article. It's all of ours, those who believe everyone deserves fair treatment. The meeting ended with a hopeful atmosphere. Everyone joined hands, singing traditional songs, affirming unity that transcended racial boundaries. Amina looked around, feeling warmth in her heart. She knew she wasn't alone. This community, strong and resilient, would walk alongside her on the path to justice. One Saturday morning, Amina and Ethan reviewed the videos and audio recordings the community had collected over the past few weeks. They were searching for something strong enough to expose Derek Hale's misconduct to the public. "We need undeniable proof," Ethan said, his eyes still glued to the laptop screen. "Something that will make the whole world see this issue." Amina flipped through video files on an external hard drive. Suddenly, she paused when she came across footage from a security camera outside the housing complex. It was an old clip, but what it captured left her breathless. In the video, Derek Hale was stopping a middle-aged black man, Mr. Marcus Johnson, a longtime resident of the area. Mr. Marcus was clearly frightened, trying to explain that he was just walking home after work. But Derek kept raising his voice, accusing him of suspicious behavior and demanding identification. "I don't have my papers with me," Mr. Marcus said, his voice trembling with fear. "But I live here. I have the right to walk around my neighborhood." Derek sneered, his eyes full of contempt. "This is a high-security area. If you can't prove you live here, I'll arrest you for trespassing." Mr. Marcus tried to stay calm, but the tension was palpable. Eventually, he was forced by Derek to leave the area without further explanation. "This is the evidence we need," Amina said, excitement in her voice. This video clearly shows Derek harassing residents of color based solely on their skin color. "There's no valid reason for it." Ethan nodded in agreement. "You're right. We need to release this video immediately." That same afternoon, Amina uploaded the video to the hashtag OurHomesOurRights social media account. She accompanied it with an emotional caption. "This isn't the first time Derek Hale has harassed residents of color in this area. And if we don't act, he'll keep doing it. This is our home. These are our rights. Let's stand together and demand justice." The video went viral at lightning speed. Within hours, it garnered millions of views and shares across all social media platforms. Hashtags like #Justice for Marcus Johnson and #EndRacialProfiling began trending heavily. The Black Lives Matter movement also responded strongly. International human rights organizations expressed support and called for an investigation into Derek's actions. "This is a textbook example of racial profiling within law enforcement," a prominent activist commented on Twitter. "We cannot remain silent about this." Local and national media quickly picked up the story. Reporters called Amina and Ethan nonstop, requesting interviews. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," Amina said during one interview. "We're fighting for everyone who has been treated unfairly because of the color of their skin." Derek Hale never imagined his actions would be exposed so publicly. As the video went viral, he became the center of widespread criticism. People began calling him out on social media, demanding that the New York Police Department, NYPD, take action. At first, Derek tried to deny all allegations. He claimed he was simply doing his duty to ensure the area's security. However, under immense pressure from public opinion and the media, the NYPD was forced to launch an internal investigation. "We are committed to thoroughly investigating this matter," a police spokesperson announced at a press conference. "If any misconduct is found, we will handle it according to the law." Derek was immediately suspended from duty. He grew panicked and tried to justify his actions to colleagues, but no one stood by him. He always targeted residents of color, an anonymous officer revealed to the press. "We've warned him many times, but he wouldn't listen." The New York Police Department launched a rigorous internal investigation into Derek Hale's conduct after the surveillance video became a public sensation. Senior officers were sent to the Brooklyn area to interview residents and gather additional evidence. Amina, Ethan, and other residents actively cooperated with the investigation. They provided numerous audio recordings, videos, and testimonies from people who had been harassed by Derek. Each story pointed to the fact that Derek had abused his authority to racially profile Black residents in the area. "I've lived here for 15 years," an elderly woman shared during an interview. "But Derek always looked at me as if I were an intruder." Another young man recounted, "He stopped me one night just because I was wearing a hoodie. He didn't ask any questions, just demanded my ID." These testimonies further exposed the racist nature of Derek's behavior. Under mounting pressure from public opinion and the media, the NYPD couldn't ignore the issue. After weeks of investigation, they announced their findings. Derek was charged with violating professional ethics and gross misconduct. "We confirm that Officer Derek Hale engaged in racial profiling and harassment of residents of color," a police spokesperson declared at a press conference. "He will be terminated from the police force and face legal charges." The news quickly spread on social media, sparking celebrations among Brooklyn residents. Many poured into the streets, singing songs of victory. "This is only the beginning," Amina told the community during a small meeting. "We need to keep fighting to ensure no one has to endure this kind of injustice ever again." Meanwhile, Ethan faced a difficult decision of his own. After learning that he continued to support Amina and the community, his parents officially cut off contact with him. "You've chosen to side with that girl," Mr. Carter said coldly during a final phone call. "Then don't ever call us again." Ethan felt heartbroken but understood that he couldn't remain silent in the face of injustice. He decided to write a letter to his parents, expressing his thoughts. "I understand you don't agree with what I'm doing, but I can't stay silent in the face of injustice. I've chosen love, for Amina, for the community, and for a fairer future. If you can't accept that, then it's your choice. I'll always hope that someday you'll understand and change." After sending the letter, Ethan felt a sense of relief. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to face every challenge to defend what he believed in. When he met Amina again, Ethan took her hand and said, "I've chosen you and this community. Together, we'll build a better future." Amina smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm grateful to have you by my side, Ethan. We'll make it through this together." The fight led by Amina and the community didn't stop in Brooklyn. Their story became a symbol for anti-racism movements worldwide. Protests erupted in major cities like London, Paris, and Sydney, where people called for police reform and an end to discrimination. #OurHomesOurRights isn't just a hashtag, an international activist stated at a press conference. It's a powerful reminder that everyone deserves fair treatment regardless of skin color or social class. In the U.S., human rights organizations urged Congress to pass laws aimed at preventing racial profiling within law enforcement. Some lawmakers pledged to include the issue on their legislative agendas. "We can't change the past," Amina said during an international press conference. "But we can create a future where no one is treated unfairly because of the color of their skin. Let's unite to make that happen." Her call to action received overwhelming support from the public. Millions of people worldwide committed to continuing the fight for justice and equality. After achieving a significant victory with Derek Hale's downfall, Amina decided to hold a large press conference at the Brooklyn Community Center. This was not only an opportunity to thank those who had supported her, but also a powerful call for unity in the fight for justice. Hundreds of people, local residents, and social activists alike gathered in the hall. Cameras from television stations and international journalists were trained on the podium where Amina stood alongside Ethan and other residents. "Today, we're not just celebrating a victory," Amina began her speech. "We're here to remind everyone that the fight against racial discrimination is far from over." She paused for a moment, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Every single one of us deserves to be treated fairly, regardless of our skin color, religion, or social class. We can't change the past, but we can create a future where everyone's dignity is respected. Let's unite to make that happen." Thunderous applause erupted after her inspiring words. Amina continued to emphasize the role of the community in building a more equal world. "We've proven that when we stand together, we can change the system. But this isn't about a few individuals. Everyone has a responsibility to fight for justice for themselves and for others." At the end of her speech, Amina issued a call to action. "Let's spread this message together. Let's build a society where racial boundaries are no longer barriers. Let's turn hope into reality. Her words were met with overwhelming support from the audience. Many pledged to continue supporting the movement and spreading its message everywhere. After the press conference, the Brooklyn community became more united than ever. Residents began organizing cultural and educational activities aimed at breaking down prejudices and fostering mutual understanding. A multicultural festival was held at the local park where residents shared music, food, and traditions from their diverse backgrounds. Black, white, and other ethnic groups came together in an atmosphere of joy and solidarity. "This is how we can better understand each other," a white resident said during the event. "We don't have to be the same to respect one another." Ethan, as a journalist, wrote a series of articles highlighting the importance of understanding and tolerance in society. He emphasized that only by overcoming prejudice could we build a better world. Amina also actively participated in educational initiatives. She organized discussions at local schools where she shared her story and encouraged students to fight for justice. "You are the future generation," Amina told the students. "Believe that you can change the world. Stand up for yourselves and for those without a voice." These activities not only helped break down prejudices but also created an environment where everyone felt safe and respected. Brooklyn gradually became a symbol of unity and reconciliation. While the community grew closer, Ethan faced a final decision regarding his relationship with his family. After weeks of silence, his parents sent him a brief letter demanding he choose between them and Amina. "You can't keep living like this," Mrs. Carter wrote. "Either come back to your family, or you'll no longer be a part of us." Ethan read the letter with a heavy heart. He understood that his parents couldn't overcome their deep-seated racist beliefs, but he also knew he couldn't abandon Amina and the values he believed in. He decided to write one last letter to his parents, expressing his thoughts and choice. "I love you both, but I can't live by values I don't believe in. I've chosen love for Amina and for a fairer world. If you can't accept that, then it's your choice. I'll always hope that someday you'll understand and change." After sending the letter, Ethan felt a sense of relief. He knew he had chosen the right path, no matter how difficult it might be. When he met Amina again, Ethan took her hand and said, "I've chosen you and the future we're building. No matter what, I'll always be by your side." Amina smiled, tears streaming down her face. "I'm grateful to have you, Ethan. Together, we'll overcome every challenge." After months of tension and challenges, Amina and Ethan decided to start a new life in a small house located on the outskirts of Brooklyn. This wasn't just a place for them to rest after everything they'd been through. It was also a symbol of the future they had always dreamed of, a world that was more equal and fair. Their new home was nestled among a lush green garden, with a simple wooden fence and large windows that welcomed natural light. Amina and Ethan worked together to decorate every corner, turning it into a cozy and inspiring space. "This will be where we continue nurturing our dreams," Amina said as she hung a painting gifted by a community member. It depicted two hands clasped together, symbolizing unity and love. Ethan smiled. "And this is where we'll plan our next projects. We still have so much work to do." They spent peaceful evenings together, discussing their future and sharing their dreams. Amina wanted to write a book recounting her journey and the community's fight, while Ethan planned to create a documentary about anti-racism movements worldwide. "We'll never stop fighting," Amina said, her voice filled with determination. "But at least now we have a place to come back to, a place we can call home." One afternoon, Amina sat in front of her computer and began writing the first lines of her book. She titled it "The Strong Walls, a Powerful Reminder of the Strength of Community and Love." In the introduction, she wrote, "The fight against injustice isn't one person's story. It's all of ours, those who believe everyone deserves fair treatment. I've learned that strength doesn't lie in an individual but in the unity of a community. When we stand together, we can break even the strongest walls." Amina recounted her journey, from her fateful encounter with Derek Hale to the peak of the #OurHomesOurRights movement. She emphasized the role of every individual in the community, from the brave residents who recorded evidence to journalists like Ethan who stood on the side of justice. "We can't change the past," she wrote in the final chapter, But we can create a future where no one is treated unfairly because of the color of their skin. Let each of us become part of the change. Let love and perseverance guide us. Her book quickly captured the attention of readers worldwide. Many sent letters thanking Amina for inspiring them to continue fighting for justice. Your story reminded me that we're not alone, one reader wrote. Thank you for teaching me how to stand up for myself and for others. Though they had achieved many successes, Amina and Ethan understood that challenges still lay ahead. Racial discrimination and social injustice persisted in many parts of the world. But they believed that with love and perseverance, they could continue contributing to the fight. One morning, as they sipped coffee in their small garden, Ethan asked, "What do you think we'll do next?" Amina looked at him, her eyes filled with hope. "We'll keep spreading this message. We'll keep fighting for a world where racial boundaries are no longer barriers. And we'll do it together." They held hands and stepped out of their small home, moving toward a promising future. Though they knew difficulties still lay ahead, they believed that love and unity would help them overcome every challenge. In the distance, the sun slowly rose, casting a warm and gentle light across the sky, a symbol of hope and renewal.